We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the parents' lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the parents' lounge is the cure to staying sane.
Welcome to a very random, very spontaneous edition, Thursday night edition of the Parents' Lounge.
You're lucky you caught me when I did. I was about to put on my jammy jams.
I know. Trust me, I'm going to be in my jammy jams very shortly. Thank you for joining us. We have a bunch of people already joining us. This is a very last second thing. We did a pre-record show with a wonderful guest, Kyle Carnohan from Superhuman Fathers, and he was awesome and
intense.
He's intense, man. If you don't get motivated after listening to this dude, you are lost. How would you describe him?
Hyper focused.
Anytime anybody tells me I got up at 3:15 today, I'm always like, you mean you went to bed at 3:15? Yeah. So anyway, before we get into this whole thing about Kyle,
he was already up and had done like 17 Instagram posts before I entered my second REM cycle.
Yeah, and he worked out. It was crazy stuff. We'll talk about it in a second. But so we decided we were going to post this show tonight, and we said, let's go live for a little bit. And then we said, well, let's have a drink. And you said, yeah, I'll have a drink. And then you said, oh, this is the whiskey that Carlos got me. So I go, well, maybe Carlos will pop in and say hi to us. So I texted Carlos and said, hey, you want to come join us in the Parents' Lounge live on a rando Thursday? And ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Alazraki.
Oh,
hey,
Jason, you're drinking the Bowmore 18.
I am. It is my absolute favorite, my friend. It's the best.
Is it not exquisite?
It's great. I like it a lot.
If you're new to Islay whiskies, which are very peaty, I'm a Lefroy 10 guy myself. It's my go-to. So it's very softly peated because it stayed in the barrel for 8 more years and the peat wears off. And it's a great intro to smoky, peaty whiskey, but it's a wee bit more expensive than the Bowmore 12, but worth it.
Oh, well, also, listen, it's 420 today, so
right on.
It's pretty good that you went smoky in your peat.
I went smoky.
Oh yeah, unintentional.
So you are smoking today, Jason. You're just smoking whiskey.
Yeah, you're smoking whiskey. It's actually with the peat soil with lots of brine and seaweed and all that kind of good stuff. And Bowmore is one of the 8 distilleries of Islay. Actually, there's 9 if you count Port Charlotte, which was one of the old ones which shut down, which I think might reopen again or already has. But So
Archie showed up. It's our old friend Archie showed up tonight.
Archie, that's right. Archie showed up. That's right. I'm going to...
I miss Archie.
I miss Archie too.
I miss Archie as well. I'm going to go to a wee business party on my motorcycle, so I'm not going to drink until I get home. I've had 19 DUIs in February. I was celebrating Blackout Drunk History Month. So I just made that up on the fly. Look at that.
That's so funny, dude.
Blackout History Month. Woohoo.
Let me
Play
ask you,
Lotus.
Carlos, because you do so many boys. We have Kyle Carnohan from Superhuman Fathers is coming up tonight, and dude, he sent me like a workout plan, a calorie plan. Like he's got 5 kids. His wife's like warrior fitness mom. Like they are killing it, and it was so motivational. But I was like, I don't know about you, but I go through peaks and valleys. So I'm like super motivated, and then some days you're like, man, I'm gonna have a drink and relax.
Well, what he taught me was about excess. And so I'm trying to focus on the excess and limiting the excess.
So here in the Parents Lounge, we offer both ends of the candle, I would say, where you can burn them both. So we're going to present his show after we do our little opening here. And we wanted to have you come in and say hi. And I think for some people, this opening is going to be super motivational for some people to go have a glass of wine and go, oh my gosh, the kids are killing me today. And then the second half of our show tonight is going to be like, oh, let me put down this glass of wine because I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to do 100 burpees.
Yeah. To each their own, and hopefully it works for most people. And I hope you can modify it as it works for you. I jump in the pool. I do my laps. I'm doing PT to fix my shoulders and make sure I'm holding everything right. I'm 60. I just went in the skydiving tunnel with my daughter, Riley.
Oh, how was that?
I hadn't done it in 7 years, and I used to be pretty good. I was advancing pretty good because after real skydiving, we needed something to do. And boy, my body really felt it, 7 years later. The difference from 53 to age 60 and being off the skydiving tunnel was like, oh man, it's a lot of torque on your body. So I would listen to your next guest to say, if you want to continue doing these things, you do have to prepare your body. Even though your mind thinks you're younger, your body's like, what are you doing? So you have to properly reintegrate yourself to things. And I did 3 1.5 minute sessions or 390. And we used to do 15 minutes a piece. And there's no way I can do that. So
it's so funny, dude. I went skiing last week and I was the same. I hadn't skied in years. And I remembered skiing at 40 or whatever, and still and this time I was a little more tentative, a little more cautious. Yeah. But it's like, let's go down that trail. I go, no, I'm good. Yeah. I'm going down this trail. And I was actually surprised how I wasn't that sore, because I have been working out and I've lost the weight. And that was why we had Kyle on from Superhuman Fathers, because, it's a good time. The pandemic's kind of finally over. People are starting to come out of their haze and people are starting to lose weight. It's so funny. Everyone I talked to since January lost some weight. But
I'm down 15.
Smoky whiskey might be in it.
In moderation, a good smoky whiskey at the end of a workout, at the end of a long day, is not a bad choice. And you know what? Simple walking. My parents are from South America, from Argentina. You go to France, there's all this dairy and all this kind of stuff. But people walk a lot, and walking is wonderful. It's underrated. So start with that. Don't just jump into the PDX 90 stuff right away. Warm up with that. Acclimate yourself.
I don't know about you, but when I go out, we went out last night, I went and saw your buddies with them too, all the Broken Lizard guys. Their new movie, Quasi, came out today on Hulu.
Yeah, speaking of Argentinians.
Crazy premiere last night it was medieval manor setup. They turkey legs, and it was nuts.
Oh, wonderful.
They had turkey legs?
Yeah, it was nuts. And everyone had goblets. They had goblets of drinks.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And they had one drink called the King and one called the Pope. The movie's super funny and a lot of heart, and it's all the guys from Tacoma. It's Lemmy and Heffernan and Chandraskar and Soto and them all, Stolen Skull. It's all the Broken Lizard crew. So we went and had this kind of crazy late night, and today I was a little all right, I guess I'm not going for that 10-mile run today.
Because it's the thing, we have to answer the bell as parents, right? That one part of our life is we do want to be adults and enjoy all the nights out and drinking, but we do need to help our teammate, which is our respective wives or partners, and be available the next morning.
Oh, you're going to like Kyle then. He has it's really funny because he's like, well, what's the most important thing in your life? And everyone will watch this. He's so intense, and at first I was a little scared, but over the hour, because Jason and I were both like, I'm not sure. Because he swears like a sailor. He's so blatantly honest.
Jamie corrected him on the swearing, and it didn't go well.
I was like, hey, man, I'm not, we're dad brands. We don't really swear on, and he's like, I'm honest. And I go, you love him. By the end, you're going to love him, and you're going to go like, come on, we're doing this.
Yeah, it's the eloquence of truth, right? Truth is eloquent, even when it sounds harsh. It's wonderful to hear it.
What he talks about like praising his wife and a great relationship between, because at first he's like, what's the most important thing in your life? And I'm like, everyone's like, our kids. He goes, what's the second most important thing in your life? And without him missing a beat, I was like, sleep.
Oh, yeah, nap. I was going to say a nap.
He was totally offended. He's like, what about your wife? I go, yeah. I mean, but seriously, sleep is very important to what I'm doing. And he goes to bed at 11 at night. He gets up at 3 in the morning. Dude, I don't know where this guy's got energy, but I loved it. And so,
he's the Tom Kenny of the Parents Lounge. You know, Tom Kenny's the guy that'll do 17 cartoons, SpongeBob, direct SpongeBob, Camp Coral, The Patrick Show, and then go out at night and do his band, Tom Kenny and the High Seas. He's just like, he's got plutonium in his veins. I don't know how he does it.
Like that, and I'm amazed. Let me ask you, because it is 420 and you are the voice of so many cartoons, is it kind of a big day in your world? Because it feels like those two worlds, 420 and cartoons and crazy voices, go together.
Animation. I would say that I'm the voice of Scooter in SpongeBob. SpongeBob, you ripped your pants. Oh! Based on a character, and I've told Michael Pace this, based on a character that Mike Pace did when he would be surfing out in La Jolla, where he used to live. He said, dude, this Chronic's pretty awesome, huh? And I said, Mike, I straight up stole that from you and used that character. So yeah, as much as Scooter's like, yeah, that's an awesome cartoon. Yeah, people like, dude, I watched Reno 911. I got so lit. And here's me, a guy that's tried one gummy in his whole lifetime at home in a very safe environment going, yeah, I guess I'm 420. Is that 419? Yeah, 420. All right. So yeah, that world animation is definitely ripe. And Reno 911, I've heard many people say, dude, your show is so much funnier when I'm lit. All right.
I would argue the Taco Bell Chihuahua is impactful on today too, right?
Yeah, you're all freaking flying on some kind of Jamaican. And it's like, you lizard. Oh, that dog is righteous. I love you, Gadget. All right.
You did that with a lot of your voices, don't you? They're based on real people, like they're exaggerated versions of somebody. Because I think it's easier to, like, especially when I act and stuff, I have thoughts like that in my head that keep you on the path, or catchphrases that I can use to kind of trigger me into stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're such a mimic anyway to do, like, if you were going to do a character and all of a sudden he came out and it's based on, like, we used to do that all the time. We'd be like, you know, do George C. Scott. Let me hear George C. Scott's voice. It won't sound anything like him, but like, how would, character. In your head, how would you do a George C. Scott?
Cratchit, you were late for Christmas this morning.
Isn't it funny? And so that comes out of you, but it's filtered in this crazy way. And it's, no one goes, that's George C. Scott or whatever. But in the back of your head, it's always funny. Like when you see John, it was Keith Richards, right? He's doing Keith Richards as Jack Sparrow.
You know, I don't know, Jack Sparrow. Yeah, wherever he does, that's what he based it on. Yeah, you've got to have a reference. I think we talked about a new character for me based on Ed Orgeron, the LSU football coach.
So good, dude. Yeah.
The LSU Tigers, go Joe Burrows, go Tigers. So yeah, and even if it's not a spot on Ed Orgeron, it's just such a wonderful character to latch onto. So yeah, you know, I was always reverential of Mike Pace. I think he's one of the funniest comics I've ever seen, and just a all-around nice guy and casual. And I just always loved it. And we had a guy, Dave, in my liquor store in 1981 that used to laugh like, ah, ah. So I kind of based it on Dave from the liquor store and Mike Pace's kind of chronic dad character. That's and I blended them together to form Scooter, SpongeBob, you ripped your pants.
That's so funny, dude. I remember doing one where it was because George Kennedy from Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah.
Hey, nobody can eat 50 egg. And so that kind of, it ends up morphing into, oh man, you're going to love that. Come on now, boy. But it's off of, it's so transformed from that, that it's just the seed. But in the back of my head, I'm totally doing George Kennedy, even though nobody knows I'm doing, like, it doesn't sound like him, really.
Isn't there a quote that you said one time, Carlos, that Billy West said that a bad impression is a brand new character or something?
Yeah, that's what Billy did say, that a bad impression is an original character. And mixing two bad impressions can also form an original hybrid character. Bad Christopher Walken with a Johnny Carson, much like this, all right? Well, wow, yeah, with a little Fred Gwynn tossed in. And I tell people, they say, I don't do characters. I go, yes, you do. You have a puppy, you have a wife, you have a brother, you have a father. You imitate them without knowing it. Jason, how did you speak to your babies when they were just little babies? You go to sleep tonight.
Yeah, I always talk to him like this. It was always like this that I did.
Yeah. And that's a voice which like you're just doing it unconsciously, because the physical of how your baby looks and how it presents to you is making you want to relate to it in that way through a voice. And that's what voiceover is. You see something and you want to relate to it. And Archie was based on Uncle Danny. Uncle Danny was my friend Kevin's Uncle Danny was not a real uncle, but he was the only one who was not Celtic United. He was for Rangers. And so I just saw that face, and he has to be a character, right? He's Archie. Archie's a wee bit more positive, but it's all in there. You have that physical reference and how you relate to that physical reference.
You know what separates people like you, the serious professionals, from the wannabes and amateurs is the ability to hold that voice.
Yeah,
mine slips. Like I can do crazy characters, and people are like, that's really funny, and it starts to slip away. I can feel it fading. I can't hold it.
It's that in practice, because Rocco took a full season. Dan Castellaneta would tell you that Homer Simpson was originally Walter Matthau.
He sounded totally different in the first few things, and then he
it was on the Tracy Ullman show, right?
Yeah.
Was that where it started?
Yes, and me doing Mike Wazowski, I've done it since 2001. It probably took about 100 hours before I felt comfortable. Like, yeah, I know Mike Wazowski. I know him when he's high, and I know him when he's down low. But that took literally 100 hours of doing the job, of practicing. Yeah. So that's repetition and practice. It all helps you get to that ability, or gives you that ability to hold on to a character. And sometimes you slip out of it. You'll have a director that's like, you're a little off today. And you're like, oh yeah, let me hear a voice reference. You're like, wow, I was off.
Do you use a catchphrase or something that locks you back into that?
Yes, but Rocco is always, oh my, heifer, spunky.
For Billy Crystal, it was from the movie Forget About Paris. You're married. And You're Married would get me right back into it. It has everything. It has the high, it has the Bronx, it has everything. It just pulls you right back in. So yeah, those two, If it's Ed Orgeron, it's gonna be go time because LSU.
Go time. Oh, you gonna be go time. Now that LSU, you gonna do it. I love that dude. That dude makes me laugh so hard in real life.
Yeah.
I just love it when a coach, it's almost like a proof of concept where he speaks like that and you go, oh, that dude's coached. That guy's a coach. Like he couldn't do any other. You should honestly, in your stand-up, you should do a bit where you do him and then you do him in other jobs. Like,
well, I used to have an old bit about
McDonald's where he's like, hey, how can I help you? You want a cheeseburger?
Yeah. I used to have an old bit about you can be anything you want to be in life, but that doesn't mean you're not going to suck at it. I said Burgess Meredith would be a terrible hypnotist. Your eyelids are getting heavy, Rock. You're starting to go to sleep. Yeah, I was pretty much in the same neighborhood.
Oh, dude.
And Patrick Butler was like, I'm wearing a slim panty. What are you wearing? I need to know. I'm hot all over. No, not working, man. I mean, these are references that nobody got, but you're right. You take that voice and like, would you like a cheeseburger with fries? Or would you like a apple pie?
So Sharon Phillips she goes, my kid is learning German so she can cuss me out. Yeah. I had to do a character that did like German gibberish back in the day. So I actually phonetically wrote out, I was like, manchmal ich bin eins der Grünen für. Wie machst ach, wenn das den Schluss fest? Ja. And so I wrote this thing out, and then all of a sudden, I guess you're right, because I just practiced it. I had to do it in sketch, and still to this day, I can do that one riff of German. So sometimes it'll come in so handy because someone will say something German. I go, manchmal ich bin eines der Grünen für. Wie machst ach, wenn das den Schluss fest? And people are like, do you speak German? And I go, made it up. But it was like a very specific.
Very convincing.
I couldn't do one other phrase in German. I think it's Rauschen mein Pfeifen means smoke my pipe, I think. But
Smoke my pipe. There's one phrase that I heard my mom say over and over again in Spanish, which is really dirty. And since your friend is going to cuss, and there's a thing called El Tano Pasman, a River Plate soccer fan goes crazy on YouTube. El Tano Pasman. And my mom used to say, La puta que te parió, la puta que te parió. And that's when I sound most quintessentially Argentinian. You can talk to Steve Lemmy about that expression because that is quintessentially, it pretty much means
what
the
is
bitch
it?
that gave you birth. It means the bitch that gave you birth. La puta que te parió, carajo.
La puta de la parió.
Huh?
La puta. Sharon,
La puta.
Sharon. What?
La
What?
puta
La
que
puta
te parió.
de parió.
Birth. And
De
the
parió.
que,
La puta de parió.
la puta que te parió.
La puta que de parió.
There you go. Ask Steve Lemmy about it. But that's something I heard my mom say over and over and over again. And that's stuck in my head, you know,
That's
as a kid.
fun.
So there's things that we're going to say to our children that they're going to go, when they're older, going to go, hey, Dad. And you're like, oh, man, I do say that all the time.
I do.
You know,
They're already, my daughter's already she mocks me all the time. And you know what's funny? I took French all the way through college. That was my second language, which, by the way, waste of time. Just waste of time for French. Beautiful language. I can't roll my R's. I can't. So even if I try to do a Scottish accent, I have to do the D sound. So if I go, oh, that's freaking gdee, I'm really saying good date because I cannot.
Oh, interesting.
And my 9-year-old can roll her R's, so she torments me. She's like, she rolls her R's constantly. I just can't do it.
To the moon, Alice.
Hereditary.
Well, if you had a reference, though, if you had a Scottish friend that you were around 24/7, or you watch Rob C. Nesbitt with Gregor Fisher, if you just watch it all the time, you'll instinctually do it because you'll see the facial movements and you'll be able to do it without even trying.
Yeah.
So you just need that physical reference.
You also place it right in the you can move it around from the front of your mouth to the back of your throat and up and down, up in your nasal or down in your people are so when you watch those tapes about people going here, I'm going to teach you upper class English. They go they change their whole body posture. They're like that does make sense because you never notice it until the guy's like talking. And you're like, oh, he's talking in his throat. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, if someone's more guttural or somebody's hair, Uncle Danny's right here, and John was right here, and Auntie Liz was way up high like that. So,
dude, you should do a master's class, Carlos. You should really, honestly do a master's class because I talk to people all the time, and people always they'll hear my voice in restaurants, and I've done some voiceovers. You know, I do myself a lot, and people go, "You should do voiceovers," and I go, "Yeah, I do some, but." People don't understand that there's a handful of people, and you're one of them who, I mean, somebody could call you today and go, hey, can you come in? And you'll be like, what's the party? He goes, it doesn't matter. Just come in. And you're going to, that's why you guys, DiMaggio, that's who I would call in a heartbeat. I'd go get Ellis Rocky over here and just tell him to go. And because to be able to have that facility to be able to just turn it on, it's pretty amazing skill, dude.
And I think that's my career now. And because I want to be good at it and because I've been surrounded by people that are really fantastic, you want like a comedian or like other people, we want to raise our game to get to that level. And so I've definitely been brought up and raised up by the Great Lyles and the Tara Strongs and the Kari Walgrens and the DiMaggios and the Kevin Michael Richards and the Phil Lamar's, the Cedric Yarborough's, everybody on Reno for On Camera. They raise us up, right? We want to be able to swim with them and compete with them. So I've been lucky enough to be in the voiceover world and just learn more and more because I think we all have raw talent at something. But if we surround ourselves with, is it even parenting, right? We surround ourselves like your friend that's going to come on is like, well, I'm not that motivated. Well, let me surround myself with somebody or introduce myself to get some ideas of how to get better at life, I guess, life and skills and professional skills, etc. So.
That's a great segue too, because we do. I want to get to his show, and I know you. I really appreciate you popping in. I know you're heading out to an event, but it is. You're absolutely right. It's something else, and he talks about in the show that's coming up right now. He talks about the fact that he has created a network for people that he gives out his phone number in the show. So if you're a parent out there and you're having any issues at all, this guy's awesome, Kyle Carnohan, and he literally goes, I don't care. Here's my phone number. Call me. I'm up at 4 a.m. and he'll like just talk to people because we're all going. You know, it's funny. We all think we're alone in this thing, but everyone's going through the exact same stuff with their kids. And I mean, listen. I wish I had, like Tom Kenny, I wish I had this much motivation to like get up every morning and just pound it. I don't. I mean, some days I'm super motivated, and other days I'm like, I'm going to catch up on the latest episodes of Perry Mason on HBO. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah. You can motivate yourself, though. You can motivate yourself just a little bit. You don't have to be at that level. Just a little bit.
Any is something. You know, so many people are literally at zero where they're like, I can't even get out of bed. Depression and the overwhelming constant need to be on social media and all this stuff. Sometimes people just need to hear it from somebody else to help them decompress and kind of, okay, let me get this.
And even for people who are on this end, will be on our end of parenting. My mom's 95 and in senior living, and she's taken care of, but I have to take her to doctor's appointments and all that. 2.5 hours the other day in Kaiser. But over the last 2 years, I just trained myself. I'm going to do it. What else am I going to do? And so I know there's other parents out there that have to take care of their kids and then also have to take care of their parents.
Yeah.
And so if you tell yourself that this is what I need to do, you do it. And you're motivated because you know that I don't have a choice. And I kind of like it. I'm actually getting closer to my mom through that process. And so, yeah, any endeavor that we are afraid of, there's always going to be somebody that goes, well, I've got this and this and this and this, and you can do it. And so that's what's great about your next guest. He's going to tell you, yeah, you don't have to be me, but you can do a little bit more.
And that's the perfect intro. So, hey, listen, Carlos, I love you, brother. Thanks for popping in with us.
Enjoy the Bowmore. I'm going to be.
Oh, thank you again.
All right, let's let Carlos go, and then we'll do our intros. Love you, brother. I'll give you a call. See ya.
Okay, ciao.
I love him.
He's the best, dude. I could talk voiceovers and cartoons with that guy all the time.
He's just so seamless. Like he just flows one voice to the next. I'm so in awe of the talent. And he's such a nice guy.
You can see the sun is setting right outside the window in front of you.
can.
I'm slowly fading to black. You ready? Let's do this. Hey, if you guys are tuning into this on iTunes, then be sure to follow, subscribe, like, write a review. If you're on Facebook, we love stars. We normally do our show every Tuesday night, live, 7 p.m.
We've got some great guests coming up.
Yeah, the guys from Broken Lizard, Super Troopers are coming. Lemmy,
Jarrett Reddick from Bullet for Soup, Mallory Lewis and Lamb Chop are coming.
Leslie Means is coming. She's a wonderful author.
Andrea Barber, Kimmy Gibbler from Full House is coming to the show.
So great show. So it's been super fun. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for all your comments. It's heartwarming. It really is. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Carnohan from Superhuman Father. Enjoy the show here in the Parents Lounge.
We love you guys.
We got Kyle Carnohan, Superhuman Fathers. Dude, thanks for joining us today. Listen, I want to hear about this thing because Jason and I have been talking about getting in shape and getting our blank together. So how did this whole thing start? And can you fix us?
We're going to get our blanks together, bro. and here's the power behind this echo that's happening in this podcast, but also the power behind Superhuman Fathers, bro.
I mean, is your voice just that powerful? It's just causing
I think I echo like the voice of God. So here's the key to change. Okay, this is it. Because if you look at my Instagram and you see my transformations, they're all insane. They look fake. It looks impossible, right? All of them. You tie great spiritual meaning to your daily habits and actions. So what must I do and become? Ask God. He'll tell you. If you don't believe in God, ask the universe. If you don't believe in the damn universe,
you can drop F-bombs. We're okay. We're okay. I don't want to inhibit you, brother.
Ask your conscience, right? It's this voice, this pull that we all have. It's the reason why you guys feel this pull to be better men, to be better fathers, to lose weight, to be more healthy, to respect your bodies more. It's this pull, right? Give that what it is. Give that what it is. It's the voice of God pulling you to be better, to be what you came to be on this earth in order to become the man that needs to fulfill his purpose. Now, when that voice and that story plays in your head and the alarm goes off in the morning, it's a lot different than, hey, I'm just on this 90-day program. I'm just trying to lose a few pounds. It's like, no, I'm trying to become the absolute best version of me, an unstoppable monster for a purpose that is worth dying for. You see the difference here?
Well, I gotta honestly, dude, I'm not sure there's anything worth dying. I mean, come on now, come on. I mean, is it worth dying
my
for?
kids. I can say that for my kids.
I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jamie, you're worth dying for.
You should talk to my wife. I think my wife would disagree with you extensively.
I doubt that.
Oh, maybe we'll have to bring her on.
Oh, James, I'd die for. I'd take a car to the head.
So
think about this. We're us three, right?
Mm-hmm.
We spend the day together. We hang out. We get to know our kids, our families, and it comes down. We get involved in, like, are we going to take a risk? Are we gonna run away? Are we gonna step up and put ourselves out there to help each other out in a dangerous situation?
I love where this is going, but I gotta tell you, I'm more the safety guy. I'm more like laying in front of the TV.
But if you can't run away, dude.
What if you can't run away?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fight.
So you would never run away from anything, is what you're saying?
I mean, tactical decisions, right? Like,
right. That's what. Okay. So I'm full of tactical decisions
for no reason, right? But if Jamie's sitting there getting his ass beat, and we made a connection today,
come close a few times that I've personally.
I'm not going to leave you. I'm not leaving you there.
No, listen. I'm the same. I'm the same. And here's the funny thing: as a parent, yes, of course, I never thought I'd put myself in harm's way ever. And then once you have kids, you're like, some crazy guy even gets near your kids and you're like, I'm going to kill this person with my forearm because I get that.
Yeah, and totally think about this. So we always say this, like, oh, I'll die for my kids, but our day-to-day actions dictate otherwise. Because when things get hard, we start getting selfish. Or even with our wife.
Well, let's talk specifics. What kind of instances are you talking about, like on a day-to-day basis? Because I love your fervor and your motivation, but it is hard as a parent.
In his eyes.
Oh, dude, I can see it. You are in it. But it's hard for most people to maintain that type of vigor on anything in life. Where we waver. So to get up every morning and have that commitment. I love that. I think it's amazing to have that. But I also, for most people, I think that is difficult.
It's a volume. It's a volume, not a switch.
Interesting.
Well,
did you start here? Like when you came out of the womb, how did you get to this point?
I was scared. I was driven by fear.
I get that. But be specific. What kind of fear, and when was this?
I just didn't. I wanted control, man. I wanted control. I didn't want to be afraid anymore. Like I didn't want. Like the world's a scary place, man. You come into this world and bullies when you're a kid, and then insecurities of like people just better. Like everyone was better than me at everything. I was just not naturally talented at sports. I was picked last for all the fucking games, like. And so people are like, "Oh, you were bullied as a kid." Was good. Okay. And then I got in the fire service eventually, like in my early 30s, after having a career in banking and losing everything, massive failure. Got into the fire service. What happened? Bullied again. It's the fire service. New guy in the firehouse. Bullied. And at some point, I was like, "All right, I'm done with this bullshit. I'm done."
Wait, you were bullied in the fire service?
Yeah, you start as a fireman, you're getting bullied.
They tease you, the new guy, right?
So there's a level of hazing.
Yeah.
And if you're if you're weak, you'll
I
get
am.
eaten alive, right? So you'll get annihilated, and you'll either break and quit, or you'll rise. And I rose, but I also found a demon in me and started getting like an abused dog. Like I started biting back real hard. The problem when you start biting back really hard, you start biting friendly hands.
Sure.
And so that started happening. And then that doesn't work well at home, by the way. Like when you start turning into this like savage beast that's like on the attack, it's hard to curtail that with your wife and your kids, right? So now you're snapping all the time, snapping. And then just a man who's stressed, you're sarcastic. So you throw in snapping, sarcasm, and then you guys know it. You're trying to run a business, do stuff, run a job, have kids. Then there's the apathy, escape, and the distraction. So these are all the things fathers deal with. And it's all just bouncing around their head. And you're trying to stay calm. You're trying to answer loving. You're trying to show up with good energy, but it feels like you just keep getting punched in the face. And
I feel that. I totally understand that feeling.
I mean,
I was
that's,
bullied
I mean, Jamie, as you know, I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with here is that, you know, it's setback after setback after setback. So I see where you're coming from.
I was bullied as a kid too, but I went the opposite way. That's how people become comics a lot, because we use humor to as a self-defense mechanism. I still do that. And sometimes with my wife and my kids, I have to be really careful because I will be biting sarcasm or acerbic. And I'm kind of making my kids become sarcastic in a way. So I'm kind of creating these little monsters. And so I need to kind of pull back. But that's what's funny as a father. It's like, you know, most of us probably should never have had kids. I mean, that's the truth of it. Because
we were kids.
What am I doing? Yeah, we're hanging on by a thread. But I can see that you probably can be absolutely terrifying. I feel like it, right? You're like, you know,
I'm
like
virtual and I'm afraid of him.
It's virtual, and I'm like, he should be. It's like Rocky 5. He would be the dude in Rocky 5. You're like, holy cow, he's fighting an you know, in the next Rocky, he's fighting an MMA guy, and it's Kyle. It's Kyle, and then Kyle's
crazy?
Like,
what's crazy is like, so I think that's a lot of my draw, because like guys are okay, this guy's fucking badass, and he's like, he's a tough guy, and he's like this alpha male or whatever, but then they come into like our Zoom meetings, and I'm like I start out by telling some story, and I'm like crying my eyes out right away, and they're just like, wait, what? And then they see me coaching one of the guys who's struggling, and they see like how much compassion I have for my men, and they're like, hold on a second, wait, you can be this like highly respected badass, but yet you can be sweet and kind and forgiving and beautiful. Like you can have these both sides. So it gives the men permission to be absolutely authentic. And that's kind of what we were talking about in the beginning when we had a discussion before about like cursing, and Jamie mentioned like, hey man, your fatherhood business, like you probably shouldn't be cursing like that. And I was like, F you, bro, we're doing just fine. And but I
have a question about that then, Kyle. Do you swear like that in front of your children?
Yes. I'm the same everywhere I go. I'm the same.
Do your kids, how old are your kids? How many kids and how old are they?
16, 15, 11, 8, and 2.
Wow, you are.
Wow.
Wow, dude. Okay. All right. I mean, that is superhuman.
So we get where the superhuman and the fatherhood thing come in. I mean, you're every egg you hit, it's making a kid.
Do your kids, like, listen, I'm telling you, I like
you guys are
swearing.
great. I love this.
I like swearing. Well, you know, it's good because this is good. Yeah. I like swearing, but I am wary of it in front of my children. I'm trying to be.
Why?
Because there's a time and a place for it. And I don't think it's the time or place for them to do it yet. Do your kids, like, does your 7-year-old go, hey dad, where's my fucking breakfast? I mean, is that happening?
Nope.
Or like, do you have a line where
they don't even curse with their friends? They don't curse. They don't even curse. I've had my 11-year-old. We did this 24-hour workout, which is not normal for us. I'm not one of these guys that runs marathons or does triathlons or whatever, but I had a guy kind of call us out and was like, hey, we're doing this 24-hour workout. We run a mile. We do 100 push-ups, 100 crawl-outs, and 100 burpees. And then we run a mile, and then we do that. And then we just keep doing that for 24 hours. And I was like, that sounds like it sucks.
Just 24 hours straight of exercise?
Straight. 24 hours, yeah. And it was for a charity. It was raising money for a charity.
There was no sleep. There's no sleep in the 24.
No sleep. Just
so you ran 20. How many miles did you run?
We did it as a family. Like our whole family stuck together. So we did 16 miles, 1,600 push-ups, 1,600 burpees, 1,600 crawl-outs in the course of 24 hours. And most of my kids didn't make it the whole night. They did pretty damn good. My oldest took like a 3-hour nap. My second oldest took a 45-minute nap. And then my younger ones did like 5 hours, went to sleep, and then did another 5 hours in the morning. But it was rad. It was a great family experience. But
did your wife do it too? Is your wife a big physical?
My wife made it through the whole night. She crushed it. Yeah.
I mean, she's jacked too, correct? I mean, she's also pretty jacked.
She's gnarly, dude. She's yeah, she
pushes me. To be jacked and to create 5 children, she's superhuman.
She got Warrior Mom Fitness, dude. She's got her own business too with over 100 clients. She's a savage.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you get to Superhuman Fathers? How did you? So you came into your own through the fire department. How did you get to Superhuman Fathers? And tell our audience what is Superhuman Fathers.
I'll tell you. Well, first of all, Superhuman Fathers is a men's group that focuses on driven, busy fathers that are trying to juggle the pillars of life and having a hard time keeping them all in place without them falling over, which would be like trying to build your business, build your kingdom, keep your physical fitness, your nutrition in order, have an epic relationship with your wife, be able to lead your kids by example, right? And live this amazing life where you're spiritually connected. So it's like all these things require certain things you have to do every day. Certain things you have to do every day get very overwhelming emotionally. And then with all the time constraints, it's like, this is why people come to me, because they're like, bro, how do you do it? How do you do it all?
I'm wondering that, brother. I'm wondering how anybody does that, because we had spring break last week and we went on vacation to Colorado with the kids, and everyone's like, how was your vacation? I go, it wasn't a vacation. I only have 2 kids, and it was a full-time job, man, trying to pack for them. And then they packed their own. They were like, oh, I packed my own suitcase. And I opened the suitcase. It was just toys. My 8-year-old filled a suitcase with toys. I go, that's not going with us. She created a job. Instead of helping pack, she actually made more work. And then today I had to get them back from spring break, the first day of school, an 8 and a 9-year-old.
That always is.
And it was a train wreck, man, an absolute train wreck. So whenever I see people who are just your chore board on the wall must be amazing. Like the kids must go down and take care of everything, because my kids won't do anything they're told. I don't know how you do it.
Our kids it's still pulling teeth with them too, man. But like for me, you just focus on the things that are most important and start deleting things that hold you back. So it's like you're going like, all right, what is the most important thing in my life? Like Jason, what's the most important thing in your life, man?
My kids.
There you go, right? So we got your kids, right? Second most important thing.
Sleep. Sleep.
Sleep. I don't know. It's a toss-up between sleep and my wife.
Well, okay, then we have a problem. Because if you're saying sleep is as important as your wife, we got some serious stuff to work on.
Dude, please. You telling me? I know I got serious. Listen.
That's why we've come to you, Kyle. We're a complete mess.
Dude.
I love it. I love you guys.
Yeah, I'm a total mess.
Because here's the deal. What if your wife needed you to stay up? She asked you to stay up with the kids, like you got a baby, and she's like, I just can't handle it tonight. Can you take it? Like my answer is absolutely. Even if I've been
absolutely. I've done that. Honestly, you know what's funny, dude? Here's what's funny, Kyle. Jason and I are both stay-at-home dads.
Yeah,
I watch the kids. My wife works.
The caregivers here.
Yeah, my wife has a full-time job and she travels a lot. So I'm alone with the kids for like weeks at a time while I'm trying to, hold my
this
own
is-
career together.
And
Yeah, this is good.
my wife is actually disabled. She had a stroke from the stress of the childbirth. She had a hole in her heart that we didn't know was there, and she had a stroke 6 days after our twins were born. So I joke that it was, it's a toss up between sleep and her, but my wife is my whole world.
Okay, so there we go. So now we got kids, we got wife, and now we've got
Sleep. Can I put sleep there?
well.
Can sleep be somewhere on the list?
And where does alcohol come in?
I'm joking. Yeah. Where does my love of wine happen?
And
Kyle?
we can talk about this too. So everything's a trade-off, right? So if we establish that our kids and our wife are the most important thing, then what do we need to do in order to create the greatest gift for them, which is us? Like our greatest gift is them, unless we're a complete turd and then we're just an annoyance to them, right? So how do we
I feel like a lot of parents, I truly believe that a lot of parents didn't really think through having kids, and we're like, oh, we have kids, and then they're like terrible parents. Yeah.
And because when you have kids, like your time's kind of done. Like you're like
thank you for finally being honest. Once you have kids, your life is over. I couldn't agree more.
The life you lived, you're dead. The old you is dead. Like
couldn't agree more, brother. People go, it's so funny. People invite me out, and I go, I'm a definite maybe, which is my running joke. And then I never show up. And then I see the guy like a week later and I go, hey, sorry, I didn't make it. He goes, oh, dude, we never thought for a second you were coming. Even though I had kids really late in life. I was like 50 when I had kids. And so before that, I used to go out all the time. And now I hate going out. I never go out because I like getting up in the morning.
Getting a twin sitter for twin 4-year-olds is nearly impossible.
True. You got 2 babysitters at home. You got a 16 and a 17-year-old or whatever. You got babysitters now.
Your dad is it, yeah. Babysitters in home babysitters is nice. Yeah. So all these things.
Let me ask you a question. So I love the fact, because you know what's funny, during the pandemic, we kind of had a similar thing. I had a group called the Dadlands, and I had like 25 to 30 guys who were like some dudes I felt like were on the verge of, bad things in their life. Former military guys who, I was former military and had a lot of military guy dads who are out now and going through some really troubling times. And we had this open session, and you're right. Sometimes guys are like, hey man, just tighten it up and move on instead of showing your feelings. And we would have these crazy discussions in this private group, and guys really opened up about like, man, I'm hanging on by a thread. That was our running gag of like, how you doing? Hanging on by a thread, brother. And so I love this personal thing you have where you talk about maybe some of the problems that guys have brought you that you feel like you've helped them with.
Everything's connected, man. So everything comes down to like this attachment to this message of who you want to become. And you attach that to this, like we talked about in the beginning, taking very powerful spiritual things and connecting them to your daily habits. So if you're like, all right, I have a problem with anger, then we all do. Like we all get like irritated really easily, and these kids push our buttons. And you have a message like you just feel this pull, like I need to work on my anger. Well, we walk guys through this process of like, dude, you're always gonna be angry. It's okay. In fact, that's gonna be, it's your superpower, man. Like anger plus gratitude. Bro, that is the most powerful mix on the planet. That's where I sit in. Like, that's what you get from me, this crazy man. That's anger and gratitude at a 10, turned all the way up. And so
I have a question for you then about anger, because when I asked my kid to do the same thing 100 times, and finally I lose my mind, punch a lamp, like just flip a table over, I lose it. And then my kid's like, Dad, why are you yelling? And I'm going, I'm yelling because I asked you to do this 100 times and you didn't do it. And now you're making me scream, because then when I do lose my cool, they do it. And so I'm like, well, you're kind of training me to lose my cool.
How old is your son?
I have 2 daughters, 8 and 9. He's got little kids. He has like little twins.
I have
daughter,
twin
8.
4-year-old sons and a 7-year-old boy.
Okay, gotcha. So first of all, the first answer to this question is nobody's kids do what they're told. Nobody's. So especially that age, they just don't. They forget.
They just
They're
don't.
Like, they're just ADD, bro.
Why won't they do it? Why won't they just do it?
Because they're just like you. That's why. They're just like us.
They
That's
are.
the problem.
My daughter's so much like
the alarm goes off and we snooze, or we said we were going to go work out and we didn't, or we're going to start that business and we didn't, and we're going to go work out and we didn't. Guess what they're doing? Yeah, I'll do it in a minute. Oh, yeah, I'll get to that. I'm just going to finish this show real quick. Yeah. Oh, I know I got to do that. They're the same. They're the same as us. It's the same.
It's the same.
That's
but
what's
unfortunately,
crazy.
I'm in charge of them. And so I'm trying, like, even this morning, I was like, what are you doing? Let's go. We're going to school. Get in the car. Did you brush your teeth? Get in the car. Like, that's every day. That's every day, dude.
And this is
So,
not going to change. What changes is your story about how blessed you are to be a part of this kid's life and be the magic that's going to turn them into a very powerful man who's going to have a life that's even better than yours. Right. And so I talk about a lot of times the demons that you do not crush in your own life will be passed down to your kids because they're not going to know who to turn to help them with it. So whatever we don't overcome in our own life, they're going to have to find somebody to help them figure it out because we're not going to be there to help them. And they're not going to listen to us.
No.
Because then you go, I didn't figure it out.
I told my kids the other day, my kids are super polite and nice to strangers, complete strangers. They're teachers, everyone else in LA. Oh, they're very kind. They were very kind to you. My kids are very kind to everybody. And then they're kind of total dicks to me. And I go, that's so crazy. It's illogical because not only am I the one taking complete care of you, I cook all your meals and I pay for everything in your life, and you're mean to me. You would think you would be mean to. So I'm like, so I go, this is my new thing. I go, treat me like a stranger. I want you to treat me like a stranger so you'll be nice to me.
I love that. In our home, disrespectful tone is completely unacceptable. You will do burpees until you have respectful tone.
Is that your punishment?
What's your punishment? Burpees?
Yeah. Or carry weight. So I'll have like 15-pound weights. They have to carry weight, do a burpee, carry weight, do a burpee. And they only have to do it until they have a good attitude. So they get to choose when they stop. But they'll be pissy while they're doing it. And I'm like, just keep doing it then. And sometimes they'll do 100 burpees until they're like, I'm like, that is a good fake. That's what I want to see. Good. And then I'll, tackle them and tickle them and play. And then we'll have fun. But they need to move and get that stuff out. And it's crazy because I'm like, you could have been happy after just one and you would have only done one, but you decided to do 100 because you were so stubborn. You can't treat your brothers and sisters with respect, or you talk to your mom like that. Like all you got to do is say sorry.
I'm going to do the physical thing as well. So we would put her in the corner, my daughter, when she was younger. And we haven't done it in a while, but I would put her in the corner when she was bad. And then finally, after a certain amount of time, she would calm down and I'd go, all right, you can leave the corner now. And just to spite me, she'd just look at me and then sit in the corner for like another half hour. And I go, like that's punishing me? You're just making my day better, bud. I go, yeah, Smart. You can sit in there all day if you want. I don't know what to tell you. I've told you to get out.
Your daughter's a powerful woman. Good for her.
She is. She's stubborn, man. Oh.
So the other thing you can do, especially like if you're working on your own fitness, you do the burpees with them. It's rad. It's very powerful. So like they get in trouble, so you both have to do burpees until they change their attitude. And it's a very powerful leadership move because you're like, I won't ask you to do anything I won't do myself.
I kind of like that, actually. I mean, I don't know about burpees. It might be let's go in the backyard and chip golf balls until you change your attitude. Something a little. Maybe let's sit and watch the latest Mission Impossible until you
We're gonna thumb rush
your attitude
until you're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it though. I can see where it would put you on a very similar wavelength, and I can see how that would be a very connecting thing. It's very interesting. I've never heard anything like that before.
There's these moments, right? Especially in that physical activity where you connect, because you both have a higher vibration when you're doing these exercises. And sometimes you don't have to do the exercises to have these moments, but don't forget to have these moments of like, hey, like my little guy, Ronan, he has the hardest time just being grumpy and disrespectful. In these moments, especially when we're sweaty, we've done some burpees, and he's finally kind of he had an exorcism, got the demon out, and I'm like, hey buddy, how do you feel, man? And he's just like, I feel good. I'm like, how'd you feel before? I was mad. I was like, see, these feelings go up and down, and it's always going to be like this in your life. And until you can disassociate or disconnect from the feelings with how you act, you're going to really have a hard time with all your relationships. No one's going to trust you. And so if you don't have trust, you can't really build relationships with people and make really good friends. And so someday you're going to be married, you're going to have kids. And if you're always yelling or being grumpy at everybody, you're going to have a really rough family, So what do we do when we feel mad, but there's people around? And they'll be like, be nice. And you're like, can you be nice when you're mad? And they're like, I don't know. Can you? Like, I guess you can. And you're like, that's it right there. You can still be nice when you're mad. I'm like, I'm mad all the time. Am I yelling at you all the time? And don't ask that question unless you get to the point where you're not yelling at them all the time. That's step one. That took me like 5 years. But you as you live by example, you can teach them through these moments. And I think as fathers, sometimes we miss out on these teaching moments that are so powerful throughout the day. We can really connect and tell stories with your kids to teach them life principles and start to attach the future a little bit,
I do that a lot because I use humor to get people to do what I want. Because
yes.
If you're on the phone with somebody and you're trying to get them to do something for you, whether you're like, hey, listen, you need to refund this or whatever, if you get angry with them, they will immediately shut off.
Shut off. Yep. Every time.
They'll turn off. And if you swear once, which I've done, then they can hang up on you. And so what I've done is, and this kind of I did a play years ago, and I did it one night and I crushed. It was really funny. And then the next night I did it and nobody laughed. It didn't go over well. And I talked to the director, and the director goes, you know what the difference was? He goes, the night it didn't work, you played it angry. But the night it crushed, you played it frustrated. So it was almost more self-deprecating than it was me going out. So typically when I call people, like even we just traveled and the first room was a mess. Like it was something wrong with it. And so I went down and I kind of made the girl laugh, and they ended up giving us 2 other rooms because I got the kids, we're in the same room. She ended up giving us 2 rooms for the price of one with a connecting door in it. And she was like, she felt, because people want to help you. It makes people feel good to help you. But if you're a dick, they can't do it. So if you are oh my gosh, thank you so much for all the help, and you make them laugh a little bit, people will bend over backwards to go out of the way. And so that's exactly what I try to teach my kids. Maybe that's why they're so nice to other people and not nice to me. I don't know.
Then, man, and that's the power, is transferring that yourself into your family. That was the hardest leap for me, is to use that. I've always been good with that concept, but then using that with my wife when things were getting a little combative,
Wow, I think we might still be in that phase a little bit, because she's stressed from her job, and then I'm watching the kids, and I'm getting stressed as well. And it's really hard not to take it out on each other. And we don't have any family where we live. So anytime we try to go out together, we're paying a babysitter and we're bleeding money.
Yeah, you're like $150 done before you've even left the house.
So it's really hard for us. And so she and I don't have enough alone time without the kids. And I think that's really important. Like you talked about with your wife and you. How do you guys do it? Well, now you have a babysitter, but when the kids were younger, it must have been super hard to get out.
It is, man. And we live in Oceanside, San Diego now. We have family nearby, and we have the kids, but we lived in Colorado and didn't have any family. So, we lived with those younger kids, and at that time, I can't really speak to that because I was a piece of shit dad, and husband. So like,
why? Like specifics, because sometimes I love your whole mentality of like, you know, give it up to a higher power in the universe and be a good dad. But specifically, what made you? Were you like angry and just combative?
I was selfish, and your connection with another human is directly attached to what you're holding back of them, and usually it's energy and time. And so a lot of times we have a hard time connecting with our wife. This grind, it's like this invisible force shield where like you don't even want to touch her and just look at her and tell her you love her. We want to do that, but we're just kind of it's grind, right?
It's a grind.
And
yeah,
it's a grind. You're like, I wish this was easy, but it's just not. And
it's not.
Our nature as men too, to just like go to war and then not go to that like loving side with our wife, and then kind of resentment starts to build up. And what I've found for me is like as I go deeper in service to my wife, and a lot of that has to do with taking care of stuff with the kids, I find that wall to be thinner, to where I'm just looking to serve her. I'm here to serve you. I need nothing from you. And you have to get to this selfless place where you truly don't need anything, and you're not trying to do anything to get anything. There's nothing transactional. I love my wife. I love my kids, and I'm willing to sit in this place of suffering for them because I truly love them. Because trying to get something in return, whether that be a break or rest or sex or whatever, like you're transactional. But if there's no transaction attached to it, and you're only here to serve, and you find that sweet place in life where service actually gives you all the fulfillment you need, because it does. Have all these other stories in our head that are lies telling us that that's not the case, that I need, you don't need. You need to show up and have impact and serve others. And that's where you'll find your greatest peace in life. But you, like I said, it's a volume, not a switch. It's a learned state.
Is she in service to you as well?
Now she is.
But how did you get to that point? Like
such a
because
tone to it. That was like that was like a movie line. Now she is. That was like something Eastwood would say at the end of Dirty Harry. Hey, did you? Is your wife here? Now she is.
Yeah, because what happens is you have I think it was Garrett White or Keith Yackey from Married Game. One of them said something about a deficit, like a bank account with your wife. And that is a really good way to look at the concept. Like you've been kind of in a grind with her for a while, and there's a certain lack of respect or mistrust that has built up. And whatever it is, usually we can look at things how we have not been showing up our best for our partner. Like we can make a list. Like have I been sending her like love texts every day? When was the last time we got flowers? When was the last time I planned a date and like put roses on a table at a dinner? Like, am I taking care of myself physically? Like, am I someone that is attractive to look at? Like, am I showing up every day with presence and energy, not being sarcastic, not being angry, not being apathetic, like, but being a fun, enjoyable soul to be around, right? You start looking at this and you're like, right? So over time, you start to disconnect because you're just not that for each other. And so you start to be that. And then she's like, something's different, but it's so new. Like this, I don't trust this. I don't trust this. So then if you stick with it over the course of time, weeks, months, sometimes years, if there's a big deficit, finally she'll crack, and she'll trust you. You'll be in this different place.
But how did you get to this point? Like, what was that process like?
That was taking steps in the dark, little steps in the dark. So like this pull you have to be a better man, you'll have an inclination like, man, I should go to the gym. Like whatever that is, I should go to the gym. And you're like, okay, well, if I'm feeling this need to like work out, then I should just do it every day. So then I would like get good at doing 4 days a week. Then I get good at 5. Then I got to get at 6. And then pretty soon I'm like, oh, I go every day. That's just who I am. And I was like, what's this nutrition stuff? Learn about nutrition. And I started getting that better. And this is over the course of years, right? That started getting better. Now it's like a drum. Boom. It's just every day it hits. So now I'm like, okay, well, what if I applied that to like my kids? How I show up for them. I'm like, okay, well, I spend 10 minutes every day with each kid at the end of the day to make sure I connect with them. Okay. So then that starts happening. I'm like, oh, wow, this works. Okay. What if I send a text to my wife every morning before she wakes up? So she wakes up and sees a text from me thanking her every single day. Boom. Now that starts happening every day. Boom. So, okay. Now we're starting to juggle some things. Okay. Well, how do I work this in my business now? I make a certain amount of calls every day. I have meetings with my team on these days. And then you start making these things consistent to where they are non-negotiable, utterly non-negotiable. They all happen, but it has to start somewhere. And so for our guys, we start with wake up times, fitness, or wake up time, workouts, and nutrition, because that's your baseline foundation of discipline, right? If we can do that, and we get that so regimented every day that it is undeniable, now we can start adding more non-negotiables. We get good at those. We can start adding more. Our management of stress starts to increase. We start being more aware of our emotional responses. And that, because you have to be. If you're going to be consistent at anything, you have to be hyper aware of your emotional responses, because those are the things that are going to throw you off. And so you get really good at disassociating your feelings with what must be done and how you must show up. This came from me working at the firehouse 4 days straight, no sleep, watching multiple people die in the back of my ambulance, in particularly a kid I scraped off the asphalt. And I got to go home, walk into that house, and be an epic dad and an epic father when I feel dead inside, right? So I had to figure out, how do I show up for them even though I have so much inner turmoil? And that was where I found this powerful place of service, which increased my gratitude for my wife and my kids, this grateful state. And so I could stay angry. I didn't have to fight the anger anymore. I just let it in and let it do its thing. But it's just counterbalanced by so much gratitude. But how do you get the gratitude? Bro, you got to show up for yourself first. You got to be grateful for you. And the only way to be grateful for you is to blow your own mind. How do you blow your own mind? Man, you just show up at a high level for yourself every single day. You start looking at that man in the mirror very different. And you have this moment where you see him and you're like, you almost want to be in tears. You're like, bro, thank you. Like, thank you for showing up for me. But then it changes. It's like, no, thank you for showing up for her and for them. And then it goes wider, because as you have lived this way, you will inevitably inspire hundreds around you. You can't help it because you're living different. And so now it's not just for your wife or your kids, it's for the world. It's for everyone you ever come in contact with. And if you believe that God told you to do something and live a certain way and you follow it, then you would believe that God would bless you with a power to show up different, would you not? Well, you tell yourself this story. I'm pulling power from God in the universe by following through with my commitments that were given to me by him. So listen, find out what you must give up, what you must do, and then act on that and tie that to spiritual power. I don't show up like this by chance for you. This is earned. I earned it this morning when I got up at 3:45 and I took my walk and I prayed and I meditated. And I wrote my messages for the world so that someone's going to read my messages on Instagram. Someone's going to change their life today because of that. And then I went to the gym with my wife and my sons, came home right on a Zoom call with my entire group of men. And then here I am with you. So like, I didn't wake up and just roll out of bed and like, well, we got another day today. Like, everything is very intentional. Like, I had to find my power this morning.
Very motivational, by the way. Very motivational. And listen, I'm gonna leave this podcast and be like, I'm coming, here I come, I'm changing everything. But the consistency is so hard. Do you drink at all?
No. But
did you ever?
So I was raised Mormon, so I didn't. And then I got in the firehouse, and then I had a couple of my fireman buddies get me hammered, and I was like, this is dumb. I'm sick. Like, why would I do this?
You know what? You're speaking the truth, brother.
You are not wrong.
speaking the truth.
But I also say, like, no substance. I don't say any substance is good or bad. It's all. I genuinely believe that you have all the answers. And like, usually when people say that question up front, it's because they've been feeling this message to like cut back or to quit, because otherwise, why would you say it? You know what I mean? Because usually, like, the first thing on your mind that's kind of pushing you to be that better man, that's holding you back from being who you want to be, it's usually that thing you say first. Not always, and that would be for you to decide. Nor do I judge anyone for drinking. Like, I live off meat, fruit, and black coffee. That's it.
Are you keto? Are you Johnny Keto?
No. In fact, I created my own way of eating. Like, I don't eat bread or rice. Bread is good for you. Rice is good for you. I don't drink diet sodas or Monsters only because I'm addicted to them. I don't think they're even bad. Drink them. But see, so I created this life where I leverage discipline for power. You can create anything that you use for discipline will enhance the way you show up. It'll enhance your. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. And I've gone through phases where I've like not had a drink for a year, and I remember feeling so powerful by it. There you go. Yeah. And you feel better. You just feel better. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's how I lost the weight in January. I just basically quit drinking, ate healthy, and I was like, 20 pounds just came right off, and that was the heaviest I'd ever been.
Well, let's talk about this concept, this powerful concept too. And like I said, a volume, not a switch. Nor is this compulsive, because it can't be. It has to come from the person. But there's this really magical place called never again that I love to watch people get to. And it's almost like a freaking when people accept Jesus or something, because it's like this powerful place where, like, if we're using alcohol as an example, you get to this place where you're surrounded by the men and they feel this urge and they're like, damn, it's time. And you'll see them fidgeting, like chewing their fingernails. And I'm like, John, it looks like you have something to say. And they're just like, I'm done with the booze. And I'm like, stop. What was that?
I'm sure a lot of guys you coach and help, I'm sure that's one of their number one.
It's one of them. It's like, if you can't get over that hurdle, you can't go any further. So like, when you have, sometimes there's this big, it's not always alcohol. It can be a bunch of things. Like, everyone already knows, right? But there's this one boulder in the way that, like, once you take the leap of faith and just get rid of that thing, 10 more open up to you. So that's your level up, right? So it's like, oh, wow. Like, if you were to use this story, believe it or not, God asks you to do something. He can only ask you that one thing. And if you don't deal with that one thing, these other 10 things that you can't even see yet, he doesn't even show it to you yet. You're not ready.
So you're a firm believer that you should focus on one specific thing to start.
Here's my other question, because, what if people don't believe in God? You're saying use the universe. You're saying there's definitely a higher power, which is kind of an AA thing. AA says.
I didn't believe in God till like a month ago.
It's been a good month for you then, I guess, at that point.
An amazing month. But I always listened to myself. See, I called it myself for a while. I have a code. I live with integrity and character. My God was integrity.
I agree with that. And because everyone's belief in like the spirituality is so different. And we also mention, Jason, that today is April 17th. 1 month ago was March 17th, which was St. Patrick's Day. So you're telling me, Kyle, that you found God on St. Patrick's Day, which I find awesome.
Hey, my name is Kyle Lee Carnohan.
Kyle Carnohan. Hey, boyo, you want a pint of Guinness? No, man, God just showed up.
You want me to be hit by lightning?
See, I think, oh, Jesus Christ, boyo. That's the thing about, I love just I think about integrity and, trust, I think is a big thing. And when you say, I love your commitment level. I think that's an amazing thing. It's very hard for people to maintain, especially with kids, because, especially with Jason has young kids. He's 2 little boys that are twins, and
they're special needs. So like I
special
am
needs
constantly
and
like,
yeah. So he's
my
hanging
life's a
on.
mess.
He's
So for
hanging on by a
me,
thread.
So
Yeah.
for me, motivation to go above and beyond just keeping my ship on course is kind of, it's been my thing. I mean, it has been a thing. I have lost 15 pounds since January, so I'm on a path. But motivation and keeping motivated to go above and beyond, just keeping my ship on course is tough for me.
Well,
Want to know the answer?
Yes, I do.
Yes, yes.
You have to be surrounded by savages that are doing it. That's it.
That does help. It does help.
That's it. People are like, how you stay so disciplined? Bro, I'm part of like 3 high-level men's groups, and I run I coach 500 people that I set the example for, and I put all my stuff on Instagram every freaking day. You think I can shit the bed? I can't. I would rather be hit by a bus than fail my people. And when you're in a community where you are held to a higher standard and you're all inspiring each other, like that's why my guys have such crazy results, because we're doing it together. It's like if when you're in battle, you ain't shooting the enemy, poking your head up for the cause anymore, dude. You're doing it for your brothers next to you because they're doing it for you.
There is strength in numbers, man. Hey, while we're talking about that, really quick, will you, and we'll put a little logo with the group and stuff. Where can people come find you and join this group and find the help they need to help get through this thing?
Yeah, so you can go to Instagram's a really good place at Superhuman Fathers, and then if you want to have an interview to join, superhumanfathers.com. And then also, like, I literally give out my cell phone number to everyone, and I don't care if you're looking to join or if you just need help with something. And I will give that to you right now. That is 760-277-7219. Anything from you, I'm here to serve you. Whatever you need help with. I was driving last night. I had an appointment, didn't show up. I had a text from a 21-year-old kid who's a new dad. He said, "Hey man, I'm struggling. I'm a new dad. I just need some tips. I've never had a father." I'm like, perfect timing. I have 45 minutes. So I just call him and I get to talk to this kid and teach him some stuff for the next 45 minutes till I arrive to my destination. And that's how I've lived my life. That's how Superhuman Fathers was built. I didn't ask for money from people for 10 years. Like I didn't, this wasn't a business.
I can't even imagine having a kid at 21, dude. I can't even. When I was 21, I'm going to say 35, I couldn't even imagine having kids. I was selfish. And I will tell you, I think that was a big thing about what you talked about, is going from being selfish to being selfless. And so now, even we go skiing, my daughter hurts her hand. So they put a little splint on her hand and her little glove doesn't fit anymore. So dad's glove comes off. So I skied the whole day with no glove.
I love that.
Because that's what you do. That's what you do. My daughter forgot her hat. I give the other one my hat. I'm sitting there freezing my ass off all day because that's what, and I told them many times, I go, bring a coat. It's going to be cold. And they go, no, I'm good. And then they show up and I'm like, all right, here's my coat. God, why don't you, if they just listen to me. I've been on earth a long time. Sometimes I always tell my daughter, I go, I've been on earth a long time. I'm trying to help you. Just do what I tell you to do, but they won't.
And that's the concept. That right there is the whole concept of how to live life, and to have all of this and to do it all is this concept of we do the most, we need the least. And so that story of taking your glove off, man, that is so powerful because you can do that every day. And the more you do it and focus on it, you can find more and more ways to do that. And that's actually the skill you work on. Like that is, you're like, what do I need to work on? That concept. I need to do the most and I don't need anything. When you get to this point where you just I don't need anything from anyone. I just want to be of service. When you get to that point, you're free and you're invincible.
It's amazing. I feel like Jason and I are both in that vein of dads. And sometimes it's not about the quality of life for our kids, because I feel like we both have bent over backwards to make sure our kids have the most amazing life. I think for a lot of dads, it's the fact that they're good dads, but how do they maintain their own mental health? Because it can be draining, giving and giving and giving and giving. And sometimes you're like, hey, man, what about me? But I think by reaching that point of like, yeah, because I always laugh because I go, I've done it. You know, I had kids late in life, and I was an actor and a comic and a Navy guy, and I've traveled the world, and I've seen a lot of cool things. And nowadays I'm like, I just blow it off. Like my friends call with a concert tickets, and I go, yeah, I can't do it. I got the kids tonight. And they're like, really? They had like Guns N' Roses at the Palladium. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And he was like, really? And I go, I'm home with the kids, man. There's nothing I can do. And I have reached a point where I'm like, couldn't care less about the other stuff. It's more about trying to make sure that the kids are taken care of.
Well, a lot of dads weren't taught how to deal with this stuff either. They weren't given that skill set. Like it wasn't something that's, you know, that's just, you know, a gut feeling. Some of them just don't know.
Yep, you're right. And this is why it's really important, because that thing of not going out and all that's not a bad thing. Like you're finding what's important to you. What happens is that feeling starts to happen with like working out, because you're like, well, why do I need to do that? You know, I mean, come on, like who really cares anyway? You know?
Yeah.
And that's a lie. That's where it can spill over and it'll take from you. Because see, what you want to do is wake up early, start collecting wins, and show yourself who you are, like right away. And that way, when you show up and things get hard, you're like, I am the guy that does hard things. This is the story you start to tell yourself. So then you start to get this thing where you worked out this morning, you took care of the kids, you did this, and now you're like doing the dishes, and you're starting to get tired, and you're like, your mind could go, the life that I want. How did this happen? This is all I do. Instead, you're going the other route and you're saying, I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. I love this because I do it all. Like I'm going to show up every day for these kids at such a high level. And you're like, man, they're taking a nap right now. I can't wait till they wake up. Wait till they see their dad. Wait till they see how I show up for them. Right. And this is the new story you're telling yourself, is like everything is a blessing and a privilege, regardless of how hard it is. We just don't worry about hard anymore. Yeah. Like it doesn't even affect anything.
Do you guys split the time? Like even when we were in Colorado for spring break, and my wife, we were like, look, this is crazy. We've got to split some time so we each can get a little bit of time to ourselves. So one of the days she took the two kids, and I actually went to the gym and had like an amazing workout in the morning, and it changed the week. As opposed to the two of us being, well, we both have to be here. Let's make one of us have the kids. And then later in the day, I took the kids to the park for like 2 hours while she went and did something by herself. And I think sometimes as a parent, you do need, it can't be, you got to have some alone time just for mental, release.
That's why I get up so early. Because like, I won't have it.
I'm the same. 3:45 is come on, man. You must admit 3:45 is pretty crazy.
Usually it's 2:45 is normal.
What time do you go to bed?
Last night I went to bed at like 11, so that's why I put it to 3:45. Usually I get to bed at like 9:30, 10, and so it's usually 2:45.
Dude, I went to bed at like 8:30 last night, and I got up at I did get up at 5. I got up at 5, and I made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches this morning for the kids because it was their first day back at school after spring break. And then they were total jerks to me. I was like, I got up and made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches. I'd peeled oranges. I rinsed some fruit. I had some juice for them, and they just came out and they're like, whatever. And then,
but Jamie, look at all the wins you had this morning to start your day.
That's true, though. Great self-validation, dude. Like that's where you go as a self-validation. We're like, dude, I am like the father of the damn year, because you are. So just roll with that. And then you throw in your consistent workouts, get your nutrition dialed in. Like I try to just wake up and go to boot camp every morning. Like I don't want to get out of bed. I go right into a cold shower immediately. I hate that. Bro, it is the worst. 45, wake up, walk into a freezing cold shower. It is you'll get PTSD. But
I haven't, and I didn't even do it. I didn't know. Just hearing that happened to you.
It's just this level of commitment to yourself and your life where you're just like, this is how I'm going to face the day today. And it reminds you who you are, and it reminds you you're different. and to remind you, you are not average. You are a psycho, and nothing will stop you. And so there's these little pit stops during the day to remind yourself who you are and what your purpose is.
Well, Kyle, I will tell you, I'm pretty sure everyone who's listening and watching this knows that you are a psycho. I don't think there's going to be any question about that. But it's a beautiful psycho, and you're raising 5 beautiful, strong children, and it's amazing. Dude, really, honestly, I'm going to go work out after this podcast. I am so jacked motivated right now.
That's my
really quick. One last plug. Tell people Superhuman Fathers. Go find you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Give out your phone number one more time, I guess.
I'll do it, man. Yeah, the guys, I'm part of this other men's group called the Ascend Brotherhood, and I walked in, and they're like, text me if you want to get jacked. Text me, because all my social media says text me. They're like, man, that's crazy. That used to be the thing, and now no one does it. And they're like, does it work for you?
I call people. I'll call my friends all the time, and they'll text me like, what do you want? And I go, dude, I want you to pick up the phone because I have a question. We could resolve this whole thing in 30 seconds as opposed to keeping this text chain going for the next 12 hours. So just pick up the phone. Let's go old school and chat, and I'll fix this in seconds. Painful, dude. Technology is the downfall of civilization, by the way.
It is, bro. It is. 760-277-7219, 760-277-7219.
And if anybody is near Oceanside, just stop by Kyle's house and we'll do a couple thousand burpees and we'll start the day off right.
100%. We're ready for you. We're ready. You're invited. Everyone's invited. Let's go.
All right, brother. Kyle Carnohan, Superhuman Fathers, dude. I am totally motivated. We'll have to have you come back and we gotta get some nutritional points of help here, my friend.
For sure.
All right, that's it. We'll catch everyone else here. Check out Kyle on Superhuman Fathers.